Well, the CIA has been delivering light machine guns and other small arms to the rebels in Syria for several weeks, following President Obama's decision to help provide them with weapons. That's according to the Associated Press, which also reports that the agency has arranged for the rebels to receive more powerful weapons like rocket-propelled grenades. Michael O'Hanlon is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. Michael, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
What's the theme here, Michael? Do we send them small weapons? We don't want to send them the big guns because we're not quite sure exactly where those big guns will end up, right?
That's right, although the real issue is the portable stuff that could shoot down airplanes, so the man-portable surface-to-air missiles. You know, if things were big enough, then they're hard to move, and that may limit their immediate tactical utility for the rebels in relocating within Syria, but it probably buys us some insurance and some safety against things like, you know, the al-Nusra group, the al-Qaeda affiliate,
right,
getting its hands on these weapons and then using them outside of Syria. So I actually think there's room for us to deliver some bigger stuff because, ironically, it makes it harder to move outside of Syria. Perhaps the more stationary, traditional surface-to-air missiles, for example.
And as we watch some video, those rocket-propelled grenade launchers, you know, we lost a bunch of those in Libya and still don't know where they are. But the question remains, you know, you talk to these rebels and you have people like John McCain saying, look, those are the weapons they need. They need these RPGs. I mean, they don't necessarily need the big, huge weapons. They need things that are mobile they can shoot down Assad's airplanes with, right?
Yes, that's right, although I do think that, again, you can use a certain kind of surface-to-air missile that is mobile enough for them to at least have these things near some main sites, but not so easy to smuggle, let's say, through the streets of a Western capital and set up and shoot down an airplane as it approaches, you know, a civilian airport. So I think there's room for us, if we're very selective about which weapons we transfer, to still find some ways to do more, as Senator McCain advocates, but do it in a way that's relatively safe for our broader interests.
Is it your sense, Michael, that the rebels feel let down by the chain of events here, and they might start to line up with the groups that we don't want them to line up with, the Al-Qaedas, the Nusras, and such?
Well, yes and no. They're certainly let down. They've been let down in their eyes, and with some justification, I might add, for over 2 years. They've expected us to help them a lot more than they have. On the other hand, they're not. Some of them are al-Nusra. Some of them are extremists who believe in beheading anybody who doesn't actually share their faith, and that kind of al-Qaeda nonsense that we've seen for 15, 20 years. But most of them aren't. Most of them fundamentally disagree with that. So it's not that they're going to become that. They're not going to go ahead and join al-Qaeda. But they will have no choice but to depend on al-Qaeda a bit more. In their own eyes, they see they have no choice if they're not getting enough help from the outside world. So I think that's where the danger lies for us. We see an insurgency where people don't have their options, don't have their choices. You know, we fought with Stalin in World War II, for heaven's sakes. We can understand that people choose bad news allies if they feel they have no other way to survive. So that's the dynamic that we're reinforcing, I think, with our relative reluctance to provide more weapons to the so-called moderate elements of the insurgency.
Michael O'Hanlon with the Brookings Institution. Michael, always good to see you. Thank you.
My pleasure.